TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the...
Jared, hey, we're gonna need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern?
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
It's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the TPCSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for the Breakfast Bankroll with Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk. Hopefully he gets on. I started the show. I know he's got another show at the top of the hour. He's having issues connecting, so I'll just go with the intro. I'll talk for a few minutes, and hopefully we can get him on. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download that app. It is free. Travis, Zach, Guy in Barcelona as we speak. Jealous as you know what. Hope you guys are having a great time there. Go follow WagerWire. Join this community. I promise you, you'll have a blast. Viva Tequila Seltzer, CT Bets, Austin. The two new flavors, lemon, and the East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. Go enjoy Viva Tequila Seltzer wherever you purchase or drink adult beverages. And Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. Terry Smith, second to none. Jump on over to Facebook. Follow Terry over there. And while you're there, head on over to atlantasteaksandseafood.com. Great menu there. Steaks, chops, seafood, appetizers, wine. Yeah, I said wine. Use the promo code STEAKS10. Get 10% off your whole order. But start 2025 off right. Start eating right. Start feeling better. 4 subscription plans right there to choose from. Check one box. And every 30 days, you go to the front door. Shabam. The only thing that you're going to need is to keep refilling the propane tank because the grill will never stop. So head on over to atlantasteaksandseafood.com. Andrew has entered the building. I guess his passport and ID checked, and I can see him in the stage right now. So let's bring him on. Mr. Andrew McInnis. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
You made it.
I made it. It's been quite the morning so far. And I don't know if you saw my Twitter there, but kind of funny there. I just tweeted out, it was a good morning until this happened. I just get out of my car and I don't know if I stumbled or whatever it might be, but just a full coffee just splat right on the ground. And it sounds like such a small thing, but doctor's appointment, came home, got some work done, took Henry to daycare because it's so cold here today. I got work to do. I got shows. I said he's going to have fun. He's been loving this new spot we're taking him. I'm going to treat myself to a little coffee and maybe a little breakfast here. Come home and I got a large too, and I never get a large, all over the ground. But that's just the way she goes, I guess. And we'll see what ends up happening the rest of the day. Somebody replied and said, don't make any bets the rest of the day. I'm hoping it's the opposite and all the bad juju is out of the way. Everything that could happen to me bad has already happened, hopefully, for the day. But things are pretty good, Jeff. It's freezing here. One of the coldest days we've had in a few weeks here in Nova Scotia. But looking forward to a busy Tuesday night. And I saw the title you had of the video, which I love, of course. But how are things in your area?
Things are good. I took a trip up to Encore. Shout out to Lewis and the rest of the Dub Club gang. I put on a great performance at the Encore Sportsbook. Got to meet them face to face. Talk some college baseball. One of his co-founders went to Stanford and actually played in the Cape League and was very familiar from where I live. So we had a great conversation. Hope to be doing a lot more conversation and work with Dub Club as we proceed there. And I'm going to start there. Oh, and speaking of cold, it's cold, but it's not Nova Scotia cold. But the problem is we got snow and sleet and ice. And so they come around with the rock salt and stuff. And, Fenway's this little pint of peanuts. And if he does the full lap, you can see that by the end, the salt on the pads doesn't do well. So he was literally doing the hop, and I'm like, let me warm you up. So that was
so sad to see that.
Oh my God, my heart breaks. I'm like, I want to start here I just want to bring up the national championship game. Hats off to Ohio State. Hats off to Calvin Smith, winner of almost $500,000. That was the final piece of his parlay. Again, a tale of two halves. Every show I went on, every show that we had here, I thought I was doing the cheat code with the Ohio State team total over 27.5. They got there early, as you saw on our ECSI VIPs. We played the over in the first half, 22.5. We get there as well. Games in hand, games out of hand, third quarter. But Notre Dame did what they had done all playoff run, especially. It's that second half. He found a way, and they're resilient. They never quit. But here's what I want to say, and I'm on the minority here. They cut it to 16. They had it 4th and goal from the, 18 or wherever it was. Everyone poo-pooing the field goal attempt. Freeman knew the percentages or the odds of getting a touchdown there were slim to none. And you still needed the 2-point conversion. You still needed another touchdown and the 2-point conversion. So taking that field goal, which of course he doinked, but as the game played out, if they would have made that field goal, it would have been that one-score game that he was looking to get to.
Well, Jeff, it's these plays happen in every game or all throughout the season. But when do we notice them the most? Of course, in the big games. If this happened in week 2, it is what it is. You move on. You won the game. Nobody's talking about it for a few weeks. You look at all this type of stuff happening. And the thing is that for me, when it comes down to certain things, whether it's the college national championship game, whether it's the NFL, whether it's NBA, NHL with power plays, all I'm looking for as a fan is that these games are not decided by the referees. I just want it. And unfortunately, sometimes it's a field goal. It's a Mark Andrews, poor connection there with Lamar and him catching it and fumbling it and the strip sacks and all this. But at least the headlines aren't late pass interference call leads this team to victory and things of that nature. But I ended up getting in on plus 16.5 I was had the unfortunately I couldn't believe it. I'm watching the Leafs and Bolts game because I had lost already my earlier play with the Blues team total under. Needed to get that split with the Leafs team total over, but I had back and forth going on with the college game, and I said, you know what? I think they can at least make this game respectable. So I jumped in on the kind of a live line there, but they just seem to be the more well-rounded team, Jeff. They really did. And I'm curious because you know that I don't follow it as much as many, of course. I know you're hardcore into it. Do you think, I know I'm playing literally Tuesday morning quarterback here. Which team do you think would have had better success against Ohio State? Or do you think that, you know, given the missed kick, given a few drives that didn't end the way they'd like to, Notre Dame was the team that deserved to be there?
Well, if you look at the final 12 and just look at the wagon that Ohio State went through, Tennessee, great defense, SEC, mauled them. Oregon, the number one team most of the year, mauled them. And a Texas team that was one for part of the year, other than a blip late, kind of had that game in hand and ended up winning by 14. So by choice, I do think Notre Dame was the right team because I think Ohio State would have did the same thing to Penn State. I really do. And the unfortunate part about Notre Dame is Jeremiah Love was obviously not 100% there. Ohio State pre-flop, we talked about them in July and August. They were the team to beat. They kind of were just going through the motions. And let's be realistic. I'll say this out loud. If they hadn't lost to Michigan and they beat Michigan like they were supposed to, and they had to play in the Big Ten championship game against Oregon, I don't think we'd be talking Ohio State right now because they got the extra week off. They got to sit in their shit for a week and say, holy shit, guys, we're not even in the Big Ten championship game here. We're going to be a 6, 7, 8 seed here. Let's wake up and smell the coffee. And that's what they did. They had the best team on both sides of the ball, other than the head coach and non-edge that they had most of these matchups. They have Chip Kelly. They have a great staff behind him. And they have, I saw someone tweet this out. The record was 15 a couple of years ago. First round picks by the Georgia Bulldogs in the NFL draft. And someone put out there that he thinks potentially Ohio State could have 16 in the first round. So I think it was it was a great story, especially Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, Andrew, lost week 2 as 28.5-point favorites to Northern Illinois. And then they were every game after that was a playoff game to them, and they got to the final game.
Well, it's good to see. I'm happy to hear that because, you know, a lot of people said, hey, they earned the right to be here, a lot of other teams. But then you talk about health, and I don't like hearing people talk about health because it's part of sport, right? When you think about every single league, health is important. I had some people telling me, well, if Georgia didn't have injuries all year and this and that, the team that made it there, they're there for the reason. But it is funny because sometimes you look at these games and, as a CFL fan, and people are going to be shocked to hear me bring the CFL up, your Elks, the Grey Cup is quite close most of the time. We see upsets, of course, like the underdog coming out on top, but it does come down to a last possession a lot of the time. And if our viewers want to take a peek right now at the last 10 Super Bowls and tell me how many came down to the last drive, you'd be shocked to hear that it actually wasn't that many of them. The CFL, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's 3 downs and you can kind of kill the clock a lot less than in the NFL and in college game you can a little bit. But I talked to a buddy yesterday. I said, so who are you rooting for tonight? Because obviously we're here in Canada. We don't have as much rooting interest, but there's a lot of diehard college football fans still here. He goes, man, I just want a close game. All he wanted was a close game. So I texted that same person and said, well, you asked for a close game, and I just locked in plus 16.5. I don't know how close that means the game is.
Well, it now closed the football segment here and saying in the last 14 AFC championships in the NFL, either Mahomes or Brady or both have been in it. So that's
Mhm.
just how dominant the Patriots and the Chiefs have been. The Chiefs now 7th straight AFC championship. Short favorites, 2-point favorites, which was kind of surprising to me. Opened as a pick, now 2-point. I haven't taken a deep dive this morning to see if it went to 1.5 or 2.5, but we'll get to that. Hockey. We're always talking hockey, and you know, these lanes are business. You know, it's not all hold hands, sing "We Are the World," kumbaya, and enjoy this, because there's a lot of pitfalls. Whether we're on fire on first period, system overs, if it's team totals, riding hot teams, fading cold teams, coaches changes. Well, I've been saying now for the last 2.5, 3 weeks, Andrew, that it's come to a screeching halt. Last week, 13 games on the docket, eight 5.5s for the under overs, 3 6s and only 2 6.5s. It's like I'm staring at the playoff schedule and the 5.5s, and before you know it, there'll be fives tonight for 8 games on the docket here. And one, two, three, four 5.5s, 1, 2, 3 6s, and just 1 6.5 there. Talk to us about the NHL as a whole and where it is today.
Well, when I look at these totals, I think we've talked about it a lot, both on your channel and on my channel recently, Jeff. And I hate to kind of repeat myself, but I'm making a lot of the same points as far as just how close it is and how exciting it is for how close the league is. And I was talking about this yesterday on a show that I'm a firm believer that some of these unders we're starting to see and the lower totals we're starting to see is because how close the NHL is right now. And last Friday, when you were on my channel, we were looking at how in the West, you pretty much know most teams that are going to make the postseason, but you're pretty much deciding where those pieces of the puzzle are going to fit. Like the fact that the Avalanche were in a wild card spot is quite shocking for how strong they are, the players they have. They add Blackwood, but that goes to show how close the West is right now. Then you look at the East. John Cooper had a great quote yesterday. He's the head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He said, in the Atlantic Division, it used to be 4 teams at the top, and then there were the other 4 teams, right? Ottawa, Montreal, Buffalo, Detroit. And he goes, that's not the case anymore. It's not 4 teams, then 4 teams. It's 4 teams, several other hungry teams, absolutely just, breathing. We're right here now, and we're ready to roll here. And the odds makers, who you and I have talked about with this team, have shown that they have respect for the Ottawa Senators. And of course, I would say between Buffalo, Detroit, Ottawa, and Montreal, you could probably argue that as of right now, as far as rebuilds are concerned, Ottawa's right there with the success that they've had. Buffalo, it's been bad. Detroit, I still believe that they did a bad job by adding in free agents too early. And you called it with Ottawa. You jumped in. You liked that number preseason, Jeff, and I applaud you for it because it was a good number. And it was also you respecting the books, because for a team that hadn't made the playoffs in like 6 years, they were getting a pretty decent number. So I've seen anywhere with the Bruins from -130 to -110 to +100, up and down over the past little while. They had the Sharks yesterday. They came back a huge third period, but I think the totals have a lot to do with it. So, right now, again, -120 for the Bees to make the playoffs, 8-1 for the Red Wings, which I think is crazy for people at home listening. You open up your apps or your scores or your ESPNs or whatever you use, NHL, 8-1. I mean, they have just written off this team. Columbus 5-1 right now, and the Montreal Canadiens +425. So any thoughts on that overall? Because right now the Ottawa Senators -210 to make the postseason.
I'm going to take it a step further while you're on that page. I think it's time. Now, again, you don't want to be, I'll bring up my saying, if you didn't invite me to the wedding, don't expect me there at the funeral. and I hate to ride hot teams, or I hate to jump in on cold teams, because regression numbers, they're going to heat up. But I'm going to ask you what the number is, and you're going to call me crazy here. What is the number for the New Jersey Devils not to make the playoffs?
Wow. Let's see. 11-1.
Man, this team is just, and they're on my do not play list for a while now. They just burned me again. We had a first period over. That didn't come in. And then we had a team total over. That didn't come in. I don't want to be piling on Mr. Frank the Tank at Barstool's and his timeline here. What is going on in New Jersey, Andrew?
I think their style of play, people have caught on to it a little bit. It was working so well, that kind of defensive-minded play, but also they picked up some offensive defensemen in the offseason. They were able to kind of move the puck up the ice a lot quicker. But one thing that I've really loved to look at a lot more this year, Jeff, is this website. It's called Tankathon, and it shows you the strength or weakness of schedule of some teams. And it's really cool because, this website pretty much indicates that they think the Vegas Golden Knights should be in for a tougher second half. They think the Washington Capitals should be in for a tougher second half. I mean, just off the top of your head, you can kind of think, hey, look, yeah, the Capitals have had a great run, but they played a lot of easier teams. The Vegas Golden Knights, I feel like every second game has been against San Jose for this team. So that's a little bit easier. But for the Devils, I mean, lately it's been a Rangers team who we know is better than their record indicates. The Lightning, the Maple Leafs, the Panthers, the Senators, who are playing well. It's almost like the schedule said, don't get too excited about yourselves. We're about to humble you. And I think what is it, like 7 of their last 9 games, I think, have been against playoff-bound teams. Or, like I said, the New York Rangers, like, they're still respectable. We still have respect for them. As funny as it is to say, like, when that game against the Canadiens Sunday night, Jeff, to me, that was one of the games of the year I've watched. And I know I'm a fan, but after what happened to the Habs Saturday night, I don't even want to talk about that. But Sunday night to respond and play this Rangers team, was exciting to see the way they play. But they're playing a tougher schedule right now. And also, I'm very curious. I've never started to think about what teams are going to do at the deadline more than I have lately. And you talk about that 11-1 to miss. Very curious to see how the GM of the Devils wants to mess around with this roster, because you don't want to change too much, but you might need 1 or 2 pieces. And I think it's interesting because I think you and I spoke about this last year, if I remember, that sometimes you can mess up a roster by making too many changes.
Mm-hmm.
And some teams do it a little bit. The thing is with the Montreal Canadiens, they're 425, and I was shocked to see the Red Wings being 8-1. But one thing I'll say, the Habs, people are talking about, like, how are the Habs so much better this year than last year? Well, Kirby Dach, ACL, MCL last year, out for the year. We didn't have Patrick Laine. Brand new, a year for these defensemen to develop. We got Alex Carrier. We got this goaltender who's 5-0, Jeff, to start his NHL career, which is exciting. But I've vented to you about it before. I don't like that people are using that to dismiss the other goaltender. That bothers me personally. But I don't think they're going to be active at the deadline, is the point I'm trying to make, and actually give out some useful information and not just sound like a fan like I always do. But I don't think they're going to be active at the deadline. So I think it's interesting because, as much as it pains me to say it, 8-1 is a bad price on the Red Wings, because I think Stevie Y is probably realizing, if we don't make the playoffs and if we don't even come close, like if the Montreal Canadiens finish closer to a playoff spot than the Detroit Red Wings, that's a failure for the Red Wings. So I'd be interested in kind of looking at certain things from that perspective, because some teams you can predict, like, why would Montreal be active at the deadline when their best player of the future, Ivan Demidov, the Russian player, hasn't even arrived yet? He comes next year. So it's interesting. What they might do, Jeff, they might not sell off as many pieces as they were going to, but I can't see them shopping around.
No, and you bring up a great point. We talk about it every day here. trusting the process. Yeah, you're having a great run right now. Detroit, great run here, but again, you don't want to give off potential key pieces from that you thought for next year or the year after to what? Make the playoffs or to get in and then to lose in the first round and be like looking at your cupboard and you're like, damn, I kind of didn't want to give up on that McInnis guy just so we could add a third, a third. Goodness gracious, third line defenseman or something, that might help us in the playoffs or something. So I believe in trusting the process here. I'm looking at the time. You got about 6 minutes, and I don't know if you froze up here on me. I want to give you the board for some pucks, props, and thoughts.
Look, I think that right now, when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens, I'm not crazy to give out picks on them anymore. I think they're undervalued, but when it comes down to it, I think that what's worthy of doing for people that are interested in getting involved with them is splitting your money on the team total over 2.5 and the money line. Depending on where you shop, sometimes you got to lay $1.40, $1.45, but I think that in games they're going to lose right now, they're going to probably give you 3 goals. But I also think that they're going to get a fatigued Tampa Bay team on a second half of back-to-back, which will not benefit Tampa Bay whatsoever. I thought it was interesting, though, a new thing that they're doing in the NHL right now, Jeff, is a lot of teams, they're saving the better goaltender for the second half of back-to-back, which is kind of something that, when I was growing up watching hockey, the backup goalie got all the worst possible situations. And now we're seeing the starting goalie Vasilevsky going tonight. So I would look towards that. Also looking at, I think actually, you know what? I think the better play would be, now that I look at this, under 3.5 minus 135 or 130 is better than taking over 2.5 for the Canadians. Having said that, though, I do lean towards taking the Canadian side and potentially looking at that under, despite the second half of back-to-back. When it comes to the Ottawa Senators and the New York Rangers right now, I think it's really interesting to look at this matchup, because every matchup between these wildcard teams, not just divisional opponents, is so crucial because what it can do and what the implications can do for the standings just over one night. Now, looking at this Senators team right now, besides their game against the Bruins, let's talk about how many goals they've given up. 1 goal against the Devils, 1 goal against the Capitals, shut out the Islanders, shut out the Penguins, 2 goals against the Stars. And I'm saying all that, and I'm about to go in and take the New York Rangers to get the job done. I like this price here, and I feel like this is something that I'm curious your thoughts here, because this New York Rangers team is a team that you kind of have to really wonder about. Like, what team is going to show up today? But I'm seeing plus 125 for them to get to that 4-goal mark. They're back at home. They'll be frustrated after that loss against the Montreal Canadiens, trading goals left and right. And I'll be the first one to tell you, they had a ton of chances in that game. Dobish played well again for the Canadiens. The power play didn't really score many goals for the New York Rangers. I think this is a spot where the Ottawa Senators lose. I've had a pretty good read on the Senators team this year. I think the Senators go into New York tonight and have a really, really, tough time matching up line for line. This is the type of series or matchup that I want to bet the home team. Both coaches know how to coach at home. I like New York at home in this particular spot. And then just going out to the West Coast for a second, Buffalo and Vancouver. Looking at this Vancouver Canucks team, the game they're coming off, Jeff, where that game against the Edmonton Oilers was atrocious. And some of the games they played recently, the defense has been ridiculous. Tyler Myers suspended for 3 games, as well as Connor McDavid suspended for 3 games. Some people have their opinions on it. People are happy, people aren't. Over 1.5 first period. That's my first period total play for you. I think we see goals in that game tonight.
Well, before I let you go, there is one system play. The Ducks coming off a shutout loss the other day. Host Florida minus 249 with a 5.5. Over 1.5 in the first period, minus 118. I'm looking at the Panthers minus 175 in the first period. or -0.5 plus 135. So the gerbil spinning, we were on the wrong side of the system play yesterday. Thoughts on that one on the over? Is it 1-0 Florida after one?
I think it's just nice the fact that we continue to get these good prices on the system plays. This is one I might be on. I'm gonna have to look at it again more. I haven't looked. The reason why I didn't bring that up is because when I'm looking at the system plays, I want to look at natural stat trick, and I want to see here. I'll pull it up right now before we end the show because it's really important to me to see some of the expected goal numbers for these teams just over the last like 2 weeks, even. Because I want to see kind of how their offense is rolling, just so I can, because these system plays, as you know, Jeff, have kind of been dying out. They've been changing a little bit lately. So let's see here. Florida, they're number 6 or 7. The Ducks, they're above average. Expected goals against. Okay, there's your answer. Expected goals against last 2 weeks and the month of January. Ducks are dead last. Ducks are dead last. And the Florida Panthers, where are they in this mix here? They are about middle of the pack. I think that's got to be a play. It's going to be sloppy. I like to look at that. And it's more so like have a play in mind already. And then you kind of use this information to back it up a little.
Well, I know you have a show. As we always wrap up this segment here, they can follow you on X, of course, on McInnis Picks. But what do you have to offer at Wager Talk?
Starting today at Wager Talk, we've got a deal that's pretty good here. $11 a day for a week, $77. You guys can join me here. 6-0 NFL props this postseason. So we'll have a prop going for this weekend, at least one. NHL, $5 Tuesday. We're going to have at least one NHL play up for grabs today. Have not decided which one my best bet will be, but hopefully that's posted about 12 o'clock, 12:30 Eastern time. So thanks for having me as always, Jeff. And hopefully we can both have a big night tonight. I actually kind of like how it isn't a huge night. It's a, 7 or 8 games, 6 or 7, not a whole lot of games. So it's nice to work through.
Well, enjoy yourself. I gave you 9 minutes to your next show. And of course, we'll be talking throughout the week. And I will be on your channel on Friday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern.
Thank you.
Take care. Andrew McInnis, go follow him at McInnis Picks, of course, on the X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it today. And of course, head on over to Wager Talk and check out their promotions there. Quick commercial break and we'll wrap it up. Stay tuned.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot.
TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk. Go follow him. Again, hats off to Ohio State, Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, UNH graduate, best team in the country, no doubt about it. Ryan gets, the monkey off his back, as we'd like to say. And I tell you, the funny thing is, he won a national championship. He's in now with the greats of Ohio State to win championships. but he didn't beat Michigan this year, which if you had on your bingo card, winning the national championship with 2 losses and not beating Michigan, which is kind of comical there. And again, Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame, hats off to you guys there. Listen, Marcus, if someone calls you from the NFL for an interview, take the interview, enjoy the process, keep your ass in college. That's where you belong. Culture, you're building a hell of a program there. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., Brady, Kannon, talking tea time wages and Torrey Pines and the PGA. A lot of people dropping out. They play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They don't want to compete with the NFL on Sunday. And it sounds like potentially Torrey Pines could be the spot in less than a month as due to the wildfires, the Riviera Country Club will not be hosting their tournament. It's Tigers tournament, so they'll make sure it's somewhere in the area there. And then at 5 p.m. tomorrow night, Riley Magnuson will be back with the closer bell. Want to shout out to everyone. Shout out to Live Zone. Shout out to CJ, Kyle, and X for helping me out here with the productions. Back east, stay warm. It's cold out there, and look out for the ice. No slipping and falling, please. We'll catch you soon. Stay tuned.